Hector, you brought up a really good thing, and this is actually something that everybody's kind of been talking about. If you guys haven't heard, in Texas and some parts of Indiana, we have people now saying that the snow that is falling is not snow, rather some other unknown substance. So these, I guess you could imagine, these are the same like QAnon types, the Trump types, the conspiracy theory, insane people that just kind of believe anything. So yeah, anti-snowers. What do you, Hector? What do you think? Since this is a topic you brought up.
Uh, okay, so, and I gotta look over my notes because I have plenty to say. Um, okay, so I want to say that to that regard, it is always a good thing to exercise what's called a good, uh, healthy skepticism, right? We all have that intuition. We all kind of sometimes feel like things are not right, so we take a step back and able to analyze things from afar, and then kind of check ourselves to see if it's if it's logical, if it's right, if it if it's iffy. Um, but in my personal opinion and my professional opinion as a philosopher, um, being a skeptic is probably the worst position that you could take. Um, and when you're trying to make sense of the human experience, okay? So, with that said, snow, like that's where we're at right now. Snow, out of all the things that we could question on this planet, snow. That's Texas. That's what we're doing, and other places too. I think. What was the other state? Was it Indiana?
Indiana, yeah.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Like snow. Okay, all right. So, um, I seen some videos on TikTok and a few on YouTube of people trying to like light up they get like a snowball and they crunch it up in their hands. Snow fake.
Snowflake.
And they light it up and they like, oh, see, it doesn't melt. Some people, I've seen a guy put it on his microwave and said, look, it's not melting. It should be water in here once you put it in the time, whatever. Okay, so what I did is I broke the argument down in formal logic. All right, and I'm gonna say it to you guys. I have it written down right here. Okay, hold up, check this out. See if you could follow this real quick. Snow melts when heated. I'm gonna give you a couple propositions and a conclusion. Here are my propositions. Snow melts when heated. Right? I heated snow. Snow didn't melt. Therefore, this can't be snow. Okay. So the thing about this argument is that it's invalid because the conclusion does not appear in the premises. One of the conclusions doesn't appear in the premises, which is snow is fake. We never talked about snow is fake in our premises, and therefore we can't just throw it in our conclusion and let it be valid. It came from somewhere, so we have to throw it in there. We have to discuss it, right? All right. So aside from that perspective of, or boring perspective of, logic and formal logic, just looking at it realistically, like really, like what do you think is going on? Like what you think, like there's this big ass, like, robotic cloud that's dropping like, fake ice. Like where is it coming from? Like somebody help me out. Like what are we doing here? Like realistically, like where are we getting the money for this? Who's funding this? I'm assuming is the government, right? Like most conspiracy theories always go back to, oh well, it's the government.
It's Jeff
Okay, well,
Bezos snow.
Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos?
Ooh, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos? Is that
Hey,
what it is?
we should not do that because if they see that shit, they're gonna start tying it together and be like, "Oh, they broke it. The real
That's what I want.
QAnoners."
That's what I want, bro. I want the smoke.
Gio, what do you think, man?
Oh, I want to answer his. So the way he broke down the philosophy of it, like the
So
first proposition that you.
snow melts when heated. I heated
Yeah,
snow.
so that proposition, right?
Snow didn't
Right.
melt. Therefore, this
Yeah.
can't be snow.
So yeah, the first
Yeah.
proposition, snow melts when heated, right, is
Yeah.
a good place to start, but you have to talk about how much heat you're applying to the snow, right? Like it's not just because you increase it by 1 degree Celsius, it doesn't mean it's gonna melt, right? Like
Mhm.
so that there needs to be more analysis, right? When you're just going this to that to this and that, and that's probably what a lot of people are doing, right? Just going, oh, it's not melting, therefore it's not snow, right?
That's right.
And so yeah. You were
Oh
saying?
yeah, and yeah. So some people were using lighters, other people were putting in the microwave. So I'm pretty sure that there's a difference there, right? I'm not too sure about the science behind it, but there has to be, right?
Yeah. Somebody was taking a lighter to it and it wasn't melting, but not only that, they showed that it was turning black, right, as though it was burning, right? And so when you think about that, you have to realize that just because you're looking at a piece of ice doesn't mean that that's all that's in it, right? Especially if it hit the ground, there's going to be particles in there that are probably going to light on, like they're going to burn, right? And so that's probably what they saw. And then to just jump to the conclusion that it's not actually snow is right breaking the whole, like it's breaking logic. And you have to like stop and consider all the possible things and not just come to the conclusion that the government is undertaking geoengineering and like modifying the climate to create like this what people are thinking is happening, right?
Exactly. I mean, and to be fair, fake snow is not out of the realm of the possibility, right?
No.
I mean, but like I said before, we have to take a step back, analyze everything, and see what could realistically, happen. And like you said, just jumping all the possibilities and just pointing at, hey, it's fake snow or the government behind it is a huge mistake.
Which should be the other way around, right? You should come to every conclusion before you say this is fake snow.
Right. And I mean, like I said, the human experience, our intuition allows us to be able to filter out a lot of that BS because of our experience living since day one, our knowledge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it shouldn't be that complicated to even do to begin with, to go through those steps, right? Some people are really good at it, are able to get from point A to point B really fast. Other people take a little longer, and some people just skip the whole thing, like these what do you call them? AntiSnowers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so what's gonna be the next one? Like we could just kind of predict. What do you think? What do you think is gonna be the next one? What's the next conspiracy or like little?
Well,
little
like
trend?
since like it's gonna start getting hot, right? Like they're gonna start saying that like the sun rays are not actually from the sun, or like the heat isn't heat, is actually something else. I don't know, man. Like it's getting to the point where like how could you question fucking snow, dude? It's fucking falling everywhere. We don't have the manpower to fucking duplicate all that snow or recreate all that snow. Like we don't have the mechanisms. Unless like we're gonna have a conversation about harp or whatever the fuck. Like, I mean, I don't understand how it could be done, or if you think it just fell like in your neighborhood, like some fucking WandaVision episode where only your town got fake snow, and I don't know, man. It's coming to like it rolls into kind of like your second topic, which was like they're politicizing everything, right? Like no matter what happens, no matter what scenario, like it's getting to the point where like every piece of current news is gonna be used to either sway you left or right on on a certain issue, right? So you know, like you said, right now it was cold as fuck, like record cold in Texas, and you know it was snowy as fuck, and they decided snow is gonna be like their next fucking frontier of justice, or I don't know, man. Honestly, it's just hard to put into words, like, to be honest. So like like you guys said, like, or like you brought up, and this was your second topic, it was the politicization of everything, right? So um is there ever gonna be a way back from this? Like, is there this how it is from now on?
Um, you're asking me.
I mean, to anybody, it is, you brought it up in the topics,
Sure.
but I also want to know, like, yeah, what either you or Gio, is there, because I was in class today, right? Because, you know, I work at the school, and we were showing kids a video on Obama, right? Because Black History Month and whatnot.
All day.
And yeah, and, you know, that's where it all started, right? Like, really, Bush was shit, right? And Bush Senior was shit, and Bill Clinton had his shit. But like, as far as like the people being at their all time garbage, like, it was during Obama's run for presidency, right? Like, that's when we started hearing the anti-birther shit. And even though he's like, "Yo, here's my fucking birth certificate," like, people were still
Yeah.
like, "Nah, that fool still wasn't born here. Like, he's not American." Like, that's where all that shit really started. Um, and now I don't see a way back. Like, it's just getting worse.
hmm yeah. So I think that there's so much at play here that led to where we are now. There's no denying that more people now than ever before are politically inclined, right? Or are aware of what's going on in politics. Obviously, the Donald Trump era was a huge player in this. Then you have like social injustices, police brutalities, mass shootings. Then there's the internet, which is at scale now, where we have access to so much information. Then within that, there's many platforms where we can express our political views. So the concern for me
And within
is what,
that, sorry, within that, there's
yeah,
echo chambers, right?
yeah,
Go ahead.
Mhm.
yeah. So the concern for me is wondering whether this is a trend that will inevitably disappear and be forgotten, or if it's something that we will have with us moving forward. I wonder if it's a trend because you have people who are in it for all the wrong reasons. I know people who watch a few YouTube videos from like some guy in like his basement or whatever, and then go out to regurgitate everything that guy was saying, and then suddenly they feel like they're like political experts.
I'm some
I
guy
al-
in a basement.
yeah, I also know that many people. I also know many people who expand politics beyond politics itself, and this is where that question comes from. Are we politicizing everything? Are we allowing it to happen, or why is it that it's happening all the time, right? So you have people who take sort of like the argumentative political blueprint, right, and apply it to something that you wouldn't necessarily consider a political issue. So again, just like you're asking, I wonder if there is a line. I wonder if we should have one, or realistically, can we have one? Um, so um, for me, is this simple, bro. Like, have a balance. I think having a balance is vital. It's the like ancient Aristotelian concept of the golden mean, where having too much of something or too little of something is equally bad. So therefore, a good place to be is in the middle, right? So I don't think it's wrong, but rather unhealthy to politicize things that are beyond the scope of the nature of politics.
Okay.
Gio, if you want to go, I had something, but if you want to go, go.
Yeah. I want to actually question the premise. I'm gonna quote a
Me too.
French artist, a French conceptual artist from the 1940s. He said, "Every act is political, and whether one is conscious of it or not, the presentation of one's work is no exception. Any production, any work of art is social, or that is social, has a political significance."
Mm.
So I'm questioning the premise of whether like everything is can be like should or should not be political, when in fact we could come at it as though like everything is already political,
Right.
and maybe the terminology is not quite the same. So let me give some examples, right? So let's say you're eating a sandwich, right? Is eating a sandwich political? At first thought, maybe you say no, but then when you actually start to think about it, you can start to ask like what's in the sandwich, right? Who made the sandwich? How much did it cost? That goes into like veganism, right? The economy and mass production of food, right?
What
Which
kind
all
of
is all
farm like create like what kind of farm did this lettuce come from? Like, am I helping out a farm that's not, doing things ethically? Like, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Is a farm being subsidized by the government, right? And all that stuff.
Hmm.
So that's one example. Another example is like saying "I love you" to your significant other, right? Is that political? At first, you're like, no, that's not. It's personal, right? But no, it can be, right? Like, so under certain subcultures in America, like premarital relationships are frowned upon, right? And some of
Hmm.
the most religious groups control our government, right, and control large portions of our society. And even and then you can also ask like, what if the two members that are saying "I love you" to each other are a member of the LGBT community, right? That has been politicized, right? Or that is a political like topic, right? So you can start like just think of anything, right, and start talking about it. There is like a political angle to it, right? If you start to think about it. So let's go back to your question, like, is everything politicized now? Maybe the right term is maybe I'm gonna ask you, Hector, if this is what you maybe this is what we mean by
Hmm.
politicization. We actually mean polarization.
Right.
Like people are becoming polarized
Right. Yeah.
and
So
taking
in
sides.
when I was explaining everything, it's good that you brought this up, what you said, because I was thinking it at the conscious level, right, where you're aware of what you're doing and what you're thinking and your actions, etc. But what you just said, that makes me think that, like, what if there are some things that, and there's, like, we don't just do things because we're always aware of them. We do some things and we don't realize it till later, or we never realize it at all. That there's like a lot of players behind it, right? Like the way you were brought up, your surroundings, it all kind of like shapes who you are and how you think, and you're not fully aware that the reason you do something or say something is because of a bunch of stuff that happened in the past, and the way, like I said, the way you were shaped. So what you said, I see that as kind of like as a subconscious um, idea of politicizing or polarizing everything, which could be. I mean, it probably is, right? I mean, I probably do things and never think about it, and maybe it's because of where I stand politically.
Hmm. Maybe to think about it and to break things down is politicizing it, right?
Mm,
It can be a sandwich or eating a sandwich, but if you start to talk about the root like where the sandwich comes from and
yeah.
all the other things, then it becomes political, and then it turns into like a political conversation.
You know what? In that sense, yeah, I think you could break everything down politically if you just get into into asking all those questions and kind of shedding the layers off it. Definitely.
But just
And
because you don't see it as politically doesn't mean that it's not, right? Like
Hmm.
in the worldview, right? So like just because somebody's doing something, they're like, oh well, I don't really think about it, so it's not political. Like, to the person across from you, you're like, nah, man. Like, right? You might not think that way, but everything you do is political. You might not think about it, but it is. Yeah, definitely. I wanted to bring up another. Sorry if you had something else. I wanted to just bring up
I
the. You said that there has to be a balance, right? Um,
Yeah, it's personal belief and something I live by. Um, and I mean, if you just kind of take that concept and you apply it to anything you do, you realize that, like, yeah, man, you can't have an excess or or what is it called, a deficiency of one thing.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to bring up. It doesn't stray off the topic too much, but I think we could get into it even deeper, right? And it's like, I think, in my opinion, we don't have a balance, like when it comes um to polarization, right? I think because the shit that's believed by QAnon and like the hardcore like right, like there's no equivalency for that on the left. Like there's no like who's like the most extreme person on the left, like a socialist? like anybody who says socialist shit, like there's not really an equivalency, right? So we don't even have like a balance there. So it's,
I get what you're
you
saying.
know, so it's like we're gonna constantly try to like drag these people like back up to reality, you know, because they're far gone already. And honestly, I can't even imagine like it, I know once I start seeing videos and it starts getting too wacky, I'm like, yo, like I think this is too much, you know, like let me go back to, you know, to what I was watching before or whatever. Just because you kind of hear the same kind of stuff from people that are garbage, right? And I went through this, dude, actually, and you know, we have Gio, we have a family member, and Hector, our really close fucking bandmate, right? That he fucking fell down the right rabbit hole, right? And so did I, dude. Like I was kind of getting into like Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro. Dude, I used to be a huge Alex Jones fan. Like I had a InfoWars sticker on my fucking car. Like this shit wasn't that long ago. Like, you know? And I fucking look back at that person and I'm like, dude, that guy is fucking dumb as fuck, dude. You know, can't imagine like what kind of conversations I was having back then, you know? Like, so for me to like in that time, like see that it was happening to other people is what kind of like took me out of it, right? I'm like, dude, look at all these fucking people are like kind of following people that I could obviously tell are not like me or believe the things that I believe are like they're all flocking to these people that I think are making sense, right? Ben Shapiro, fucking Jordan Peterson, a lot of other people, even people that are like more moderate but still kind of have crazy ideas. Like who's that guy that talks like a lot about the Middle East? I forget his name.
Like in the what is he like?
He's like
Sa-
a
Sam Harris.
Sam Harris, yes.
Yeah,
So
he's an
people like
atheist. Yeah.
yeah, people like Sam Harris who like make a lot of sense, right? Like on some topics, like when it comes to like the Middle East and other topics, they're like yo, like he's kind of a little too harsh on some issues, right? So you kind of have to look at everything, constantly reevaluate yourself, and this is something that these QAnoners don't fucking do. They're not fucking, there's no introspection, there's no stepping back and being like, oh damn, we kind of we're maybe we're fucking up here. They're gun-ho, you know, on what they
Mhm.
believe. So the balance there, like it's not there. There is no balance, I think. The and they're the ones that are um going to all these lengths, right? Where we just want people to have universal fucking healthcare, and that to them is like the end of the world.
Well, the closest analogy to QAnon or the alt right that does exist on the left would be like Stalinists who believe that there should be an authoritarian left wing government, right? That is like killing people to uphold leftist like ideas, right? But none of those people have any power in the United States or really like anywhere in the world except for like North Korea or Cuba or some other or Venezuela, right? Where and so here in the United States, the people who do have power are uh, the the Trump supporters, right? The GOP, the moderate GOPers, the corporate Democrats, the centrist Democrats, and then the progressive caucus of the government, right? And that's as far left as it goes. And then the people the things that they're advocating for are like universal health care and tuition-free college, right? So there is no analogy to what like the far right is promoting on the left-hand side, at least not people who have power. And so there's no balance, like you said.
Yeah, there's the and that's the issue. Like with this whole, this whole conversation, I think is that, um, and I've tried to bring some people that are on the right, like you'd be like, dude, look at your whole party abandoned like the entire all the representatives that ran like for
Mhm.
president. They're like, nope, 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 we're gonna go with Trump. And then all of those representatives, after talking shit on about Trump for the entire like leading up to the election, they all one by one started kissing his ass, right? So if you mirror that with what happened on the left, which is we're actually having like an in-house fight between progressives like Bernie and AOC and people like that, Ilhan Omar, right? um we're trying to take our fucking like they're trying to take the Democratic Party back from the establishment, right? So there's actually fucking like, there's good shit going on in the Democratic Party right now. Even though it hasn't always been great, like compared to the GOP, like come on, dude, like it's not even a conversation you can have, right? So that to me is something that if we can see it, why the fuck can't they? Are they refusing to see it on purpose? Are they too far gone? Are they watching politics like it's sports, and they got their team, and then there's no way they can root for for the other team? Like it doesn't make sense. It's not the way politics was meant to be done, right? You don't follow a fucking man. You follow you move with the trend, right? With the trend of like what people want. So I don't know how it got this bad, but it fucking did. And back to my point, it was fucking Donald Trump that started with that birther shit. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear some of the issues that you care about discussed on Discussion Lounge, go ahead and drop them in the comments section.